Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Picnic Table Chat Show. I hope you can all hear me okay and the microphone's working and everything. It's still not on a stand. It completely broke last week after the stream, or actually it was before the stream, wasn't it? And I did the last one like this. So yeah, that's somewhat interesting. So yeah, I'm holding the microphone. Feels really weird holding the microphone. Somewhat distracting. We'll see how it goes. So, welcome to season 10, episode 3. It is Sunday evening, and we are here watching the dive nest. They're not really up to a massive amount at the moment. I haven't done a feed-in today, mainly because they had a large amount just a few days ago. I don't want to overfeed them at the minute and kind of trying to control their numbers somewhat from growing much further, because it's going to get out of control if they carry on growing the way they are. So we're somewhat limiting their food intake at the minute. Not massively, we're still feeding them a large amount, much more than any of our other ant colonies, but we're not giving them like a pork chop every couple of days anymore. That's good. Thank you for letting us know that, Dino. So what is going on? Let's have a little bit of a little chatty chat. And welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. If you want to say hi in the comments, and I will say hi back. We got Demon. Demon Forge, Frugal Invert Keeper, Dino, Resto Guy, Assassin's Crest. Lots of brilliant people here as always, so good evening everyone. Chris has just put out a video on his channel. I've already forgotten the channel name, so Chris, if you wanted to mention your channel name, you're more than welcome to. He's just put out a little review video of a parcel that we sent him. Good evening, Antisocial, thanks for joining, buddy. And yeah, it's always worth having a little look. Give him a like and a comment. It's, I'm sure he'd appreciate that. And drop him a sub as well, because he hasn't got many subscribers at the minute. He's got about 20 or 30 or something like that, So head on over to his channel. If Dino wants to find it, that would be spectacular. If not, Chris will probably do it if he's here in the chat still. There he is. There you go. And yeah, everyone head over and give it a little view. I'd appreciate it. I'm sure he would as well. So what else is going on? So it is immensely cold at the moment. Have you noticed? Really cold, especially in the wind. At the moment, it's saying about 4 degrees, and it is also giving me weather warnings saying that the rest of the country might well get more blankets of snow over this coming week. So we have decided to prolong our delay in posting. Does that even make sense? You know what I mean? We are not posting out live still. It is just not worth it. As someone said earlier, they want a queen, not a popsicle. And I think that really does, that's it, -2. It shows exactly the conditions that they would turn up in, They would be frozen. They wouldn't survive. There's no point in sending them. It's like, no matter how much you ask, I'm not going to do it. So that is just the way it is. Chris, you've done amazing with that review video. Don't ever judge yourself on it. You know what I mean? You've done an amazing job. You've done more than a lot of people have done. It's very hard to do YouTube videos. It's very hard to put yourself out there. So, don't ever put yourself down, and don't ever let no one else put you down either, because, like you say, it is hard work doing those sorts of things. You say you're putting yourself out there. It's a big thing, especially for a lot of people, I do it quite regularly, and I've grown somewhat accustomed to it, like this, chatting away randomly about all sorts of randomness. But it does take a bit, bit of mental prep sometimes to just sort of do a video or talk to people, you know what I mean? So yeah, don't ever put yourself down for that. It's a great video. I enjoyed watching it anyways. I enjoyed the music. It was kind of like I had this music on whilst I was watching it, so I was trying to kind of listen to both, but I was enjoying it. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so cold weather, let's say we are not posting lives at the minute. If you're buying dry stock or just nests, anything like that, then we can still send it out. We are still sending those items out. But if there is a live item, we will hold back your post. If you want to put in 2 orders, you're more than welcome. One for dry stock, one for live goods, whatever, you know what I mean? And we will get them out, you know, but we're not sending the live ones just yet. We're waiting for that what's the word? Ideal weather, really. The minute it looks like it's going to be warm enough for like 2 or 3 days, it's, you know, we'll get everything out as fast as we can. Obviously, if it carries on like this until the Sheffield show, if you come into the show, you're more than welcome to pick stuff up there. And then you won't have to pay postage either. You can do the collection option on the checkout, and then you won't be charged postage, and you can collect from the show up at Sheffield, obviously if you're coming, that is. So yeah, we are, you know, we're trying to work out options, and I will do my best, but I'm just, you know, it's not worth sending it, is it? Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we won't go into it, Resto Guy, but we get our own fair share of it, don't we? You know, and it what's the way? It can take a lot to like put yourself out there and sort of be susceptible to it. Is that the right word? Or not susceptible? You know what I mean? You kind of just gotta go with it sometimes. But yes, there's a lot of that. Do a few myself and see. Yeah, everyone here is really appreciative of, you know, the work that goes into these sorts of things. I mean, we have an amazing community here. We always do. A lot of my viewers are absolutely spectacular people, and you know, we all support each other and what we're doing. I like supporting what they're doing, and they support what I'm doing, and we all support each other. So you know, I think that's the best thing about the community. Really, it's not just the inverts that we all love. It's the fact that we're all pretty awesome people. Like I get on with like 99.99% of people, you know what I mean? And it's a real blessing, because I don't want to say I never had loads of friends, because that would be a lie, but you know what I mean? Like always getting to speak to new people and hearing what new people are doing. Like since doing what I do, like I've got to speak to so many people which do so many cool and interesting jobs. Like I love hearing about it. It all interests, everything interests me pretty much. I can find an interest in anything, and yeah, it's definitely one of the perks of it is getting to speak to people, but it can also be a a challenge sometimes. Don't lick on the post. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, share that. Share it about, you know, any of my groups, Chris. You're welcome to share your videos, as is anyone. Really, if it's relatable, then share it into the Ants on the Rock community or into the Discord. If you're part of the Discord, share the links in the Discord. You know, share the love, as they say. So let's talk a little bit about the Sheffield event, because we have this Sheffield event coming up. I'm super excited now. Yes, we have a stadium, which is absolutely amazing, mind-blowing to me, really. I never in my life, especially if you ask my wife when we got married if one day I'm going to be booking a stadium, she'd probably laugh at me and say, you better not, because it seems like I'm going to be spending more money on these sorts of things than I've ever spent on. We won't go into it, but you know what I mean. It's a big thing. I've never thought I'd be booking a stadium. So yes, absolutely amazing. We're going to be booking, well, we have booked the stadium. We're going to be at Sheffield United Football Stadium on Bramall Lane. And the latest thing that I can announce, and there's lots more to announce, but I'm kind of drip feeding it still. So the latest thing that we have announced, we announced it just a day or so ago, we will have free face painting from now on at events from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. It's, you know, it's just another great way of giving back to the community, making sure those younger audiences don't get bored, you know, because they might not have loads of pocket money to spend. They might be interested in the lectures. You know, there's going to be lectures, there's going to be exhibits, and there's going to be demonstrations. But not all of that is going to appeal to a younger audience. So I like to think of these extra little things, and I think free face painting, it just makes that little bit more, doesn't it? So we have the entertainers, and we have free face painting now. There will be more and more added as the shows go on further in the year. By the time we get to Bristol, you're going to be like, the show's going to be amazing. I cannot, can't go into too much detail, but yeah, it's going to be pretty spectacular, to be honest. Like, I'm really excited for the whole year ahead. Really excited to get started with the Sheffield event in February. But like, we hold 3 big events every year, and all of them are like, I've got big plans, and I'm super excited. The best thing is that the venues that I'm working with, and the people I'm working with, and the teams I've got involved are all really into it as well. And there's no sort of, yes, there's red tape I've got to go through and hoops I've got to jump through and things like that. But I'm not really being stopped. Like, they haven't really turned around and say, hang on, we can't do this. Like, we're pretty much just not going wild with it, but you know what I mean? They're allowing us to do quite a considerable amount, which is really spectacular. Yeah, like, obviously, like I say, there's a lot of paperwork involved, especially when you bring in health and safety and risk assessments, but it's all part of it. Yeah, red tape sucks, that's it, but it's all part of the job. My part of what I do is getting through that red tape and making sure that we can still have a brilliant event, or not getting through the red tape, but working out what we can do and what we can't do. What's the bug at the top of the screen? It's disappeared now, but I assume that is behind that leaf. It is a darkling beetle. They grow out of the Mario worms that we have in the substrate. The Mario worms, obviously, so they help keep the soil fertile and moving and stuff. But they also, if we water the tank, they all sort of come up to the surface, and we can harvest them really easily. So the ants, when we put food in, if we put in a big rat or something, you generally, if you lift it up, you would find that it's been hollowed out underneath by Mario worms. So they're another vital part of the cleanup crew. We did have earthworms in there to start with, but then we changed to Mario worms just to give us that little bit more sustainable food for them as well. Because they do eat a lot, and it's just a cheating way, once a week or once a month even, just put a couple of liters of water into the substrate, and they all sort of come to the surface. They can be, well, they are harmless essentially, but if they're hungry and say you've got a dying beetle on the surface, you might find that dying beetle gets eaten by the worms. But it's a very natural sort of process. They're not like cannibalistic, or they're not like savagely going, good evening, Ants Dorset. They're not savagely going for the ants or the beetles or anything like that. It doesn't become like walking over a crocodile filled swamp sort of thing. But they are hungry, and if there's something dying or dead, they will help it disappear, basically. Yeah, no, they're a great part of the cleanup crew, but they're only useful in certain situations. I wouldn't recommend them over earthworms. I would recommend them alongside earthworms in different situations, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's really helpful. And like I say, the beetles, once you've got just like 4 or 5, they do tend to explode into much larger numbers. I can't tell you how many we've actually got in the tanks in total. Probably around 40 or 50 of these beetles at least walking about at any given moment. One thing we didn't realize as well until because we had 2 tanks joint up by the bridge, and then we added the 3rd tank higher, and as they climb up the high bridge, they fly. Like, I always knew they kind of glid. They could fly down gently. I always knew they could fly down gently, sort of falling with grace, as they say. but I didn't know they could actually fly. And since putting up this quite high branch for them to use as a bridge, they actually use it to fly, and they kind of helicopter around the room occasionally. Normally, when there's like, I've got a friend that comes over, and it's normally when he's sat here, and he's not really. It's not that he's not a fan of them, but he'd rather they weren't landing on his face. You know what I mean? Good evening, Rose Donna. Thanks for coming in. So it is normally when he's here, they'll sort of take off, and you can hear them. Like I say, it's like a proper propeller. And yeah, they normally head straight for him. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the aftershave he uses. I don't really know. Like, it's attracting beetles, but yeah, they're darkling beetles. They're really cool. And again, the beetles are really helpful. They help break down a lot of matter, like the rotten vegetation and things like that. Pretty much anything that I put in the tank, they will go over and eat as well. So, you know, all part of the cleanup crew. The thing about this tank is it started off as a multi-species tank with many different species of we had 2 species of ants, because we had the Murano class bicolor in there originally, and then we added in acorn ants later on. We had stick insects, we had the vampire crabs, we've had clams, like little pea clams. What we had? We got 18 species of isopod in there. They're still going. You can sort of find different areas with different species in, and the dairy cows are just everywhere. We've got, what else was in there? There was stick insects, there was spiders, there was beetles, there was millipedes. There was so many different species in these tanks, you know, and most of them haven't stood the test of time, or they've died out naturally, most of them, but some of them, I admit, have been eaten by other occupants in the tank as well. But it's all sort of nature. I said it from the start that the Polyrhacus dives will take over completely and probably wipe everything out, and that's pretty much what happened. But a few of the species managed to survive, like the beetles and things like that. Yeah, acorn ants are brilliant if you've got a small, very particular setup for them, you know, because like you say, they're just they're tiny. They're absolutely tiny, and although they are quite active as well, they do forage actively. Because they're so small, you can often lose them even under just like the smallest piece of leaf litter or something like that. Yeah, but they are an awesome species. I love my acorn ants. We did a experiment with acorn ants because basically where they are so small, some species of larger ants can cohabit with them. We had Camponotus creataris cohabiting with them for a while, but the Camponotus actually ended up moving into the outworld section, which wasn't built in a suitable way to house a colony, because I was trying to keep them from nesting in it. They ended up moving in there under a piece of wood, and they didn't last very long after that. Bit of a shame, really. The acorn ants carried on for a long time, and then I added them into the dive nest. Again, they lasted quite a while, but I think the colony might have died out naturally, because it seemed that they just slowed down until you just didn't see any more on the surface. I have a big illuminated magnifying glass. I have that's very helpful, actually. Illuminated magnifying glass. I like that. I think my grandparents have something like that, actually, for doing crosswords. I might have to go and steal it off them, see if it's useful, and like if it's worth buying one. I definitely will. Yeah, I think they've got one. I'm sure they've got one. Light always, let's be honest, if you light up the area, it does make a massive difference to like what you're trying to see or what you're trying to take a photo of. It's also really annoying. Like, we've been trying to take some photos, so we've recently done a little bit of a change to some of our products. We've now made it so that none of our products have the acrylic stuck to the front. It is all inside of like a rim, if that makes sense. So it all sits inside of the enclosure now. So there's a bit on each side which encloses the edge, and that's all then stuck in to make it super strong. We've recently changed a few of the enclosures to suit this new sort of new way of doing it. Is that the right word? So the dive nest and the invert enclosures now, instead of that acrylic being on the front, it's still on the front, but it's like within a rim. You know what I'm trying to say. And it sits very nice and tight. And then we glue that as well with our special epoxy. It's sort of, it doesn't really glue, it's a chemical reaction which melts the two pieces of plastic together essentially, so it makes a super strong bond. And with the new style of enclosure, we found like although we weren't really having issues anyways, this has just made it so strong. We've been doing a bit of a strength test, in fact, and I'm gonna film it because it's kind of blown us away. I can hear my daughter in the background. I'm sure you probably can too. So we're going to film it. We're going to be posting it on YouTube. We've been doing a strength test on a few of our enclosures, such as the invert enclosure and the dive nest. Now, I'm not the biggest of guys anymore. I used to be a bit bigger. I'm about 75 to 76 kilograms now. So, you know, I'm not massive, but I'm a fair weight. I've been able to stand on my own enclosures. We stood on the dive nest, and it was, I can confidently say I can put all my body weight on one dive nest and it doesn't even creak or anything. It's quite impressive actually. So yeah, that's a super strong enclosure now. So as well as putting the acrylic within that rim, we've also thickened certain areas of it. We've thickened the walls and we've thickened the roof section to make it all super strong. And like I say, we've been doing the strength testing and I've been able to stand all my body weight on it, and it's withstood quite well. Now earlier on, I think it was just today actually, if it wasn't today it was yesterday, all my days sort of mold into one, as you know. Didn't even make a sound. It was amazing, wasn't it? We did invert enclosure, which I admit the walls are slightly thinner on, slightly smaller product to the dive nest. And again, I was able to stand on top of it and put my whole body weight on it. So we're going to be filming that soon. We'll take pictures and film it because it's not worth making these claims if you're not willing to back it up. And obviously I am. So yeah, I was just super impressed with the sort of strength that they've got in them. I was expecting at least slight cracking or creaking or something, but no, it was really cool, really strong. I'm really happy with that. But yeah, so the main thing that I was saying was we've been trying to take pictures of them, like these new enclosures and whatnot, and we just cannot get it. The glare, like multiple people have tried. We've used the light box, we've used so many different techniques. I think I'm gonna have to do like a 19th century curtain over my head sort of style. That might work. We'll have to see, but I will get these pictures done. If not here, I might just waiting for the Sheffield event, because at the Sheffield event I've got proper professional photographers who I can ask to take a picture or two of our products, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do that for me, and you know, it'd be better pictures than I can ever take. I have to say I was pretty surprised at the way Sorry, that's it, Chris. I mean, although like my main thing with the nest is I want them to be, like I say, sturdy, but I want them to be stackable. So I've got a few things in my mind that I sort of always keep in my mind when I'm designing any sort of nest or enclosure. I want them as stackable as possible, space saving as possible, strong and sturdy, because let's be honest, we all knock stuff off occasionally. Like, I'm a nightmare for breaking things, to be honest. It is just the way it is. So, you know, it's one of those things I always like to try and keep in my mind when I'm designing nests, is just making sure everything's strong. You know, to reflect light onto the nest with the light behind the nest so there isn't glare. Hang on, use a large piece of paper to reflect light onto the nest with the light behind the nest. That might work. So I've got a light box, which essentially is the same thing. If I move the light to behind, maybe that could work. You might have cracked it there, Ant Store. So I'll give that a go later on. I'll see what I can do. Right, like I say, worst case scenario, I have professional photographers available for me at the Sheffield event. We always try and get in professional photographers. It's one of the things we do, and we always offer these opportunities up to college and university students to help build their portfolios. You know, it can make a massive difference if like you're trying to get work and you're a photographer and you've already done a big event like this. You know, it can help them a lot. So I think it's just another thing that we give back, really. So or under the nest so that the light isn't directly on the nest. See, yeah, we had the light above and I think it was coming through, and we tried the light in front obviously, but that like this room's quite lit up during the day, so it might be worth trying after 10 o'clock. All the lights start kind of turning off around the room because everything's on timers, of course. The dive's nest is hard work to get a pic of inside. I have to put a light above to take any sort of picture. Yeah, that's it. I mean, let's see, it is just one of them. And yeah, I'll get there. I've got a really good camera. I never use it. I always use the camera on my phone just because I can then edit it and do everything really easy. But I have got a really good camera. I forget what they're called, but they come with like the multiple, like different lenses you can attach and a proper camera, you know. So I have got that I can use, and I might try that. I need to get it out and actually give it a good go with, to be honest. I've never used it properly. We've had it for years. I don't know. That's it, DSLR. I always forget that. Like, I don't know why it just doesn't stick in my brain. It's not one of the little cameras, you know what I mean? It's a proper thing that has all the attachments and stuff like that. It's a very cool camera. I'm very lucky to have it, actually. So keep an eye on YouTube. So I'm just trying to keep up with all the comments. Five already building it. We found that the perspex viewing window. Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Like I've tried to avoid too much perspex or acrylic, whatever you want to call it, too much of it, because I don't know. Like in my opinion, like nesting situations in particular definitely do better with dark sides and walls and things like that, you know. So like with I don't want to go into it too much, but I just find providing those darker spaces and environments can really sort of aid the natural way that the nesting would go. It cost a fortune to buy my daughter one for a 5-minute phase that she said she wanted to pursue. Yeah. I mean, like I've had it for absolute years, that camera. I definitely should get it out and use it more often. But it's one of those, like, you have to plug it into the computer and then drag, like, what, 10, maybe 15 years ago? Yes, that would have been my go-to thing to do. But now everything's on the phone, isn't it? Like, you just take a picture on your phone, you edit it, you can upload it there and then. It's all really super fast and easy. Like I say, 15 years ago, or even how long ago was I in school? Wow, okay. So a bit longer than 15 years ago. That's what I would have done. You know, I did a photography course in school, and I did, I really enjoyed it. We went out to the zoo and things like that and took pictures. I was really lucky. So we did I think they call it Enterprise Week or something like that at the school I was at. They ask every student what they want to do for the week. Some of them went to one zoo every week or something. Some of them went to Germany. Some of them did this, some of them did that. Everyone sort of had a subject that they sort of did. It wasn't necessarily school subjects, it was sort of extracurriculum subjects that everyone chose one that they do. And I chose photography. And there was only 5 of us that chose photography, one of them being my best mate as well. The teacher, I shouldn't say this, but he was so grumpy. He was one of the teachers that when you had him on a normal school day, you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got to go to his lesson. but he wasn't actually that bad when it wasn't his normal lesson. He was a science teacher normally, but you gave him, like, got him outside the classroom, gave him a camera, and he actually turned into a decent guy. And he did smoke around us, so that probably helped, the fact that he just had a fag in his mouth all the time, rather than having a sneak him in between classes or whatever he was doing. So yeah, that probably helped a lot. But we were really lucky, right? Because where everyone else had to pick one thing that they were going to do, we got to do it all. They were like, right, today you'll go in and go with them to this zoo, and today you're going to go with them to the penguin sanctuary. And like, we ended up doing so many different things. We even went over the circus skills at one point. Like, you know what I mean? So everyone else was sort of stuck in that one subject, and we got to really sort of have fun on everything. It was great. But we didn't take many pictures, if I remember correctly, because we were too busy doing things like circus skills and being like, oh, it's a peacock. Because what was the zoo? The zoo, Paynton Zoo, that's the one we went to, because I lived down in Devon at the time. And we went to Paynton Zoo, and there was peacocks, and I remember that, like, it was the one picture I took was actually a peacock, and I had to edit this peacock when we got back as like part of the work, and like take some clouds out or something. I ended up just copy and pasting the peacock all over the screen. And there you go. That's my job done. He calls me, oh, well, yeah, I mean, we won't go into it now, Dino, but you are like pretty ancient. Like, you got a good 20 years on me yet. Need to get a good camera. Was going to get a good one, splashing out on myself. See, it is so expensive, isn't it? If you want to get a good one, you are looking at like a big chunk of money. It's not just like, it's not a throwaway item anymore. Well, it never was really, but you know what I mean. It's, things have definitely got more expensive over time. And with the way the world is, you know, we don't have so much disposable income anymore, generally speaking. Like, even like hard working, both working couples, you know, they won't have as much disposable income as, say, in the 90s or early 20s, you know. But hopefully one day the country will get back to a way where we're all sort of a bit more well off, and prices sort of come in line with wages a bit better. Yeah, Kat, I wasn't even going to mention that because, like, you might be, but let's be honest, Dean sort of, I think Dean overrules your oldness. Good night, Rose Donna. Thanks for popping in. I hope you are all well. So what else is there to talk about? Wiseness. Yeah. So I'll be doing more updates about the show later, or well, I was going to say this week, but it's now next week, isn't it? In the next few days, we will be releasing the map for the Sheffield event and some more about the speakers that I've got booked in and things like that. Just some more of the little information that might be worth knowing if you're planning on coming along. Obviously, it's just going to be a great day out, and most of the information's up already, but I have held some of it back for a little bit. What's everyone's most random pet? That is a very good question. So what is everyone's most thing? Because I if it will let, I don't know if it's going to let me. Oh, there we go. It's there. It let me, and then it come up. So what is everyone's most random pet? If you put it into the comments, let's see what we've got. We could get all sorts come out here. What's my most random pet? I don't know. It might be the hermit crab. It might be the vinegaroon. I mean, what do you call random? In our invert kind of filled world, what is random? We've got a bit of everything here. No, it's not stick insects. We've got assassin beetles, millipedes. I'm going to say the hermit crab. My scolopendra is a bit of a beast. Yeah, jumping spider. Alligator snapping turtle. Wow, that's very impressive. So I haven't got anything like that. I've got a hermit crab. By the looks of it, we're going to have a duck race, aren't we? I'll set that up. Do. I don't know if you can hear, but my 3D printer is going next to me. Generator. Obviously, we are non-stop printing now until the next show, the show over in Sheffield. We are getting tons of products printed, ready for purchase and ready for just showing off as well. We're going to have loads there. Obviously, all of it's going to be slightly discounted from what you'd be able to get on the website. You won't have to pay postage either, which is always helpful, you know. So yeah, the printer's working full time at the minute, and it seems I'm having to wake up randomly through the night again to keep it going. But that's fine. It's all part of the job. Um, but yeah, so we'll have loads of products printed, ready to go by the time of the show. Oh, Cameroon baboon. I do like the Cameroon. I like the baboons in general. I've got the golden leg baboons myself at the moment. They are very cool. Yeah, wide range of enclosures. Thank you, Dino. Wide range of enclosures. We're going to have loads of food. In fact, we have a little poll going over on our Facebook at the minute. If anyone is here and hasn't answered, feel free to just give it a little what life Sheffield show, or what you think we should start stocking more in general, because it's always worth expanding our horizons. We like providing what everyone likes, and why not? It's something that we've always lacked in at our shows. We haven't really got a standard live food provider, if you know what I mean. Like with the other sort of inverts and things like that, we do have shops that are routinely attending now, as well as the new ones. We have these shops that we can sort of rely on and go to book in. Whereas live food, we haven't really got anyone doing that yet. So we thought, why not? We would, get on it, fill the stock up, because we already sell dubia roaches, Mario worms, and wax worms, and fruit flies. So it's like, why not stock up a bit extra and take it to the shows with us and be that live food provider that's missing. Oh, not the night printing. It's the worst thing trying to sleep with basically health room next. See, luckily my 3D printer is in the office, not next to my bed. We were going to have it in the bedroom, but I decided against it mainly because I'd have to go up there all the time when I'm down here. I seem to spend more time in the office than in the bedroom. So it's not too bad. And to be honest, I'm so used to it now that I don't even notice it most of the time. Only reason I mentioned it was because it was making a particular noise that I do still notice. But most of the time, I don't notice the printer going because it's on all the time. And when I'm not streaming, like 90% of the time, I've got some music on as some extent, we're about to finish this next, which is always cool. Print and run away next to me as we an articulate item. Now you'll have to send me a picture when it's done. Let me know how it works out. And like, they've always interested me. I am actually yet to do an articulated item, mainly because it's always monopolized by work. We've had like 2 or 3 brief spells where we've turned it off for a day or so. One of those, I printed myself a lightsaber, which I'm still yet to actually even put together. I've got all the pieces printed for it. I've just not had the time to put it together. But yeah, so I printed myself a lightsaber, and one of the times I printed a box for my daughter to hold her Pokemon cards in. Apart from that, I haven't really printed much for myself to enjoy. It's mainly been a work thing. We are looking at getting more and more printers at the moment. A larger, I wouldn't say faster, but more intelligent printer as well. So when that happens, I'm sure I'll have a bit more of a chance to get some prints done for myself as well. I enjoy it a bit myself because they are really cool. Oh, as well as the first thingies. See, there are some really cool things out there, some really cool STLs, especially if you're willing to spend a bit of money on it, you know. Yeah, I've always been interested in the engineering side of it. I mean, probably because I've been doing so much not engineering work, but you can call it that, the design work on the nests and things. It does take a little bit of engineering sometimes, especially like hinges and things. So yeah, it does interest me how they fit together, and like you literally peel them off and they're articulated already. I find that super interesting. Like the hinge mechanism that we use on our invert enclosures, I find it like just super like interesting how they work straight from print. Of course, Frugal Invert Keeper, if you send me a message, we can do that for you. I do custom prints all the time. In fact, probably at least once a month, I have one person in particular, message me with a different request every month, and we always manage to fulfill it. What I tend to do is I will give you a phone call, or we'll sit there and message and literally just work it out what you're wanting. I'll make it as we're talking, like design it as we're talking. I'll be sending you pictures. Okay, is this not okay? What color, what size, all of that, you know. And I'll really go with what you design. And then yeah, it's just a matter of printing it. And that way, like, I just find once you say okay, then it's good to go, if you know what I mean. I don't want to just go on my own judgment on these things. I hate doing that because someone said that, can you make me a custom enclosure and just do this, do that? And I was like, yeah, I need a little bit more detail, man. Like I can't just make it up because I'm sure I'd probably not have what you've got in your head. But yeah, we do custom orders. We also do personalized signs and change the lettering, and we can emboss things and you know all of that sort of stuff. It's no major issue. There might be a small charge if I have to edit one of my designs, because obviously I've got to go back in and change things and whatnot. It's time out my day, so there might be a small charge, but we obviously keep everything minimal. But yeah, we can pretty much do anything, you know. If I can print it, I can do it, is what I've said several times to people. So what else? What else? There is a few giveaways happening. I keep going on about the Sheffield event, but to be honest, it's the main thing on my brain at the minute. There's obviously a lot to be done, and it's on my brain. What like decor? Yeah, I can do decor and things like that. Yes, mini Hogwarts. Yeah, things like, I mean, the Aztec nest. That was a request from a customer. He asked, "Can I do an Aztec nest with decor, this and that?" I got on it and I've done it, and we've done like a whole town sort of scene to go alongside the Aztec. And yeah, if we can think of it and I can design it, then we can print it. And I'm not amazing at the design aspect, but there's not much that I can't do now, if I sit here for a long enough time. Like when I did the ants that are on top of the little logo we use and things like that. Or was it? No, it was a different ant, wasn't it? It was an ant that I created, and I spent something like 7 hours there moving blocks, like 1 millimeter blocks by bit until it got right. And you know, I can do most things. It just takes time. And I love doing things like mini Hogwarts. We can definitely get on that. That'd be super cool. So yeah, there's a few giveaways going on. Like I say, I'm going to talk about Sheffield event just slightly more. There's a few giveaways going on. I know Obsessive Recessive, is that how you pronounce it, are hosting a giveaway. There's 5 free tickets to the Sheffield event on their giveaway thing. I think you just have to like and share and things like that. And then yeah, it's as easy as that. You can win yourself some free tickets to the Sheffield event. There will be some other opportunities to win some free tickets as well if you haven't already got some and you are planning on coming. Obviously, you can get tickets on the door or online. It's not a massive issue, but obviously getting them online will just ensure that you get in a little bit faster. And if we do sell out on the day, you get priority because you've already got a ticket. You can still come straight in. Whereas we will stop the tickets on the door after a certain amount if we think that we're going to reach capacity. Remember to do the Ants on the Rock Zen collection. Exactly, Chris. See, I've already started looking into that as well. I've got some pretty good ideas for that. But I was actually going to message you because I want some pictures from you of your idea, your inspiration. Your inspiration would be spectacular for me. What CAD do I use? I won't publicly announce that one, but I'm more than happy to talk to you privately about it, Ants Dorset. But obviously, I've got to keep some things under the hat, haven't I? So who wants to have a duck race? We have 8 people in the chat at the moment. So I'm going to do a duck race for 10 people because we never know if someone's going to join. We're going to do a 2-minute duck race. This isn't for a prize. It's just for fun. I want to make that clear. Obviously, don't want any misconceptions, all of that. If you get your number, if someone's already got your number, choose a different number. It doesn't matter. It's just for fun, and it's not life or death. There we go. It's happened already. Someone's got the same numbers. I'm sure you guys can sort it out. It's not a. Everyone sort of has their own favorite numbers, don't they? It's kind of funny that. I don't really have a favorite number. I suppose my favorite number is 7. I've always liked the derivatives of 7 and 7, and then you go 14, 21. I've never been a big fan of 14. Don't know what it is about 14. There's a bit of a funny one. You go to 21. I like 21. That's a good number. So 7, 21, good numbers. 14, get out of there. Anyways, so what ducks have we got? Oh, we got some cool ducks here today. We got a green spotted duck. I do like those green spots. He's very vibrant and energetic looking. He's definitely one to watch tonight. We got a plain duck there next to Princess Duck. Princess Duck's just had her eyelashes done. I have a feeling she might be taking it a little bit slow. I believe number 3 was Dino. Good luck, Dino. You might have a slow duck there. We'll find out. We got a purple stripy duck there next to Top Hat Duck. I do like Top Hat Duck, but he kind of looks a little bit. I don't know. Who's going to be more well off? Do you reckon? The guy that's just, I don't know. They're both going to run like or race like crazy duck things. You got a Viking duck next to him. Viking duck's probably going to end up chasing them down anyways. They seem like they might not stand up against the Viking too well. We got a policeman duck to keep an eye on the Viking duck. I think that's going to be well needed. This could be a really interesting race, especially with a pink stripy duck right next to it. And I don't know what this duck's doing. He might have just come from the beach. He might not realize he's racing. Either way, good luck, everybody. Let's get these ducks down the river. Now, I've got to mute it because it really does like that. It's like, I don't know. Dorset, you took my number. Good luck. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I need to move. You know when you've been sat down for ages and you just get a numb leg? Well, my entire everything's going numb. My whole bottom half. I haven't even been sat here that long, to be fair. It's just, I know, awkward angle, I suppose. Yeah, good luck, everybody, and good luck those ducks. We got number 7 making a bit of a push for it out in front, the Viking. I was more expecting the Viking to be following up the rear, chasing everyone else, really. But he seems to be making a push for it. Loungy Duck, number 10. I'm calling him Loungy Duck now because he does look like he's just come from a sun lounger. Loungy Duck, number 10, is holding good ground. He's doing really well. He's holding. The problem with holding the front for the whole race is by the end of it you're going to be knackered. They've all been slipstreaming. They've been reserving their energy, and you've been using it. So back in my days of running and racing and things like that, we always used to save a little bit of energy for those last 10 seconds. Expect, like in the boxing ring, those last 10 seconds, you hear those clicks, and that means you got 10 seconds. You put every last bit, everything you've got into those last 10 seconds, and then it dings and you get 30 seconds rest or whatever, and you go again. But you always save something for those last 10 seconds. Here we go. Last 10 now. Let's see. Go on, Ducks. Push hard now. Come on. Oh, out of nowhere. Where did he come from? Oh, my God. Out of absolutely nowhere. 4 just took the win. Well done, number 4. Well done, that duck. See, played it strategically, sat at the back throughout the whole race. Who was number 4? Antisocial. Well done, buddy. Good call. That was a cracky-lacking duck to pick. Like, literally out of nowhere, wasn't it? Just gone. Oh, I bet that sounded awful on the microphone. I'm sorry, everyone. I just whistled on the microphone. Should never whistle out a microphone because it kind of deafens everyone. Whoops. But yeah, that was good fun. That was good fun. So yeah, we are heading towards the end of the stream now. I've got just a few last things I'm going to be talking about. If you've got any comments or anything you want to say, anything at all, feel free to post it into the chat now. We'll have a little look and have a chat about it if that's necessary. Answer any questions that are posted and whatnot. So now's your chance. But yeah, so one of the last things I'm basically going to be talking about is, I don't really know how to get into this one because it's such a random off subject. So my health has been somewhat challenging me lately, mainly because of the cold weather. I mean, everyone that knows me well or anyone that's been watching these streams for a long time would know I've got some health conditions, quite a few health conditions, mainly around my lungs, so in the cold weather, it doesn't do me good, and I'm somewhat in not a bad, like I'm not in a bad state. You've definitely seen and heard me in bad situations where I can barely breathe, but you know what I mean, when you can just sort of feel like you just gotta take a little bit of time for yourself. So I'm not going to be taking time away at all, but if I'm somewhat slow at replying to messages or things like that at the minute, it is a little bit, well, it's mainly to do with that. I'm sleeping a bit more, I'm resting a bit more, I'm letting my staff, which I can be so thankful for having right now, I'm letting them sort of help me a bit more, take up a bit of my work so that I can rest a bit more. That's it. Yeah, staying on top of all my pills and things like that, really sort of, because last year I did on several occasions become quite unwell, and I wasn't looking after myself 100%. I was putting too much into the business and just trying to get everything like the shows going and whatnot. But you have to sort of say at one point it's time to look after myself again. So I've booked myself in, and not just booked myself in, but the hospital's booked me in for all sorts of appointments and tests and this and that have somewhat been neglecting and putting off for the last 6 months to a year. Yeah, everyone says health comes first, but you know what it's like I've had these health conditions a long time, so I know what I can get away with and what I can't get away with. And last year I made a commitment at the very start of last year that I would be putting every bit of money, every bit of time, effort, and everything I had into work, basically, just to make everything really sort of take off. And it has worked. The Bristol show was absolutely amazing. By the time we got round to that last one, like the first one in Sheffield was great, the Weymouth show was great, and the Bristol one really topped it up, so it worked for us last year. That effort really did pay off, and I can, it's paying off now, because now I can, I've got staff here who are happy to help, and I can sit back and sort of take that breather, which I really need. So they say the hospital's booked me in for all sorts of appointments and tests and things like that. So I am still going to be about, and I am still going to be working my butt off every single day. But there will be periods where I might be asleep and other periods where I might be, you know, away at hospital having a procedure or whatnot. But even then, I pretty much come straight back and work, or wake up and sit in the hospital bed and work. In fact, I find the hospital is one of my most productive environments because there's nothing else to do but sit there and work. It was actually where we started Answer the Rock YouTube, was because of a hospital visit. I was in intensive care after some internal bleeding and things like that, and the doctors basically said that you need to start slowing down. Is there anything else you do? And I basically said, well, my other hobby is ant keeping. And they said, well, maybe you should, you know, look into a bit more of that. Put a bit more time and effort into your ants. So that's what we did, and we released our first video on YouTube, and it just sort of went off from there, didn't it? You know, and now look at us. We're everywhere, going around all these events. We got multiple events. So if Sheffield is too far from you, this is something else I meant to have said. If Sheffield is too far for you, we have an event just a couple of days later at Weymouth. I think it's on the 14th, the 13th or 14th in Weymouth. It's going to be pretty amazing. We're going to be doing a handling experience, not so much there to sell, but we're going to be doing a handling experience at this event, and I will be up on the stage at 11:30 to give a lecture as well, which is always a pleasant experience. I do enjoy giving lectures. It's something I haven't done much of to large scale audiences since for quite a while now. I mean, we do lecture events, and we do everyone says that Kent is one of those places that's really crying out. But yeah, we do a lecture events, and we do teaching events and things like that. But it's been a while since I've actually been up on stage myself, and everyone's just like there to hear my lecture in particular. Normally I'm sort of giving a lecture in the background of a massive event like my events have, you know. So yeah, it's going to be great fun. And yeah, if you're local, pop on down. It's a free event and support it. Why not? It's the Weymouth Green Festival, all about the environment and different impacts on the environment, especially locally, where it's such a key factor, you know, with the fossils and the Jurassic Coast. I mean, lately we've sort of hit the headlines with our fossils and the Jurassic Coast, finding that, I forget what it is, but it's a large sea-dwelling dinosaur, or I don't know if you could call it that, because technically dinosaurs weren't sea-dwelling, but whatever, we won't go into technicalities. They found a massive skull, didn't they? And they think the rest of the body might be there as well. It's a massive, interesting thing. And luckily, I won't say I know the guy, because I don't know the guy, but I've spoken to Stephen Etches quite a few times. He's sort of overseeing the whole project, and it is someone that we've you know, kept in regular contact with for the last year and a half since looking to book him into some of our events. And it's been sort of enlightening to hear his side of why we're finding more of these fossils and why there's more erosion and things like that. So yeah, like things like that is really interesting, and like I say, we'll get a much deeper understanding and dive into it at the Weymouth Green Festival. And that's just a couple of days after the Sheffield event. And the last thing I'm really going to talk about is, after the Sheffield event, we're going to have, I don't know if we're going to have loads of stock left, but we're going to have some stock left. Obviously, what I'm not taking with us, because I never take everything to the show. We try and keep the store open as well. We try and take like 50-50 split of everything. So we will have stock left. We've decided that after the show, we're going to, for just a couple of days, we're going to drop everything on the website to show prices. I'm afraid you'll have to pay the postage price, but we're going to drop a slight discount on every product to what we would be selling at the show, so you can get it as if you were there. What was I going to say? That's it. That will go on until the end of Valentine's Day, which is, I believe, the 14th of February, something like that. So yeah, there's if you're not coming to the show, there's still opportunities to grab yourself a discounted bargain. I thought I'd announce it now so everyone's fully aware of the next sale. I'm going to try and although I do randomly put sales on, I'm a bit of a nightmare for just saying let's have a sale today. Um, I will try and if it's a planned one, I will try and keep that updated at least on here so that people watching can at least say I can plan ahead, or whatever. I don't know. Right, let's have a little look through your comments, and then I am going to start ending this stream. Da, 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 da. Where did it'd be amazing car parking directly in front. Oh yeah, it's gonna be brilliant. So I should read it out loud before I answer, but whoops. We are looking at a local. Yeah, we are looking at Kent, aren't we? It's like I say, it's somewhere that's been crying out for us to come a bit more locally. But again, we've got all these plans to expand, don't get me wrong, but we have to make sure that the events that I'm currently running are booming. Quite honestly, we've got to make sure they're doing really well. We've got lots of people coming, lots of people interested in when the next event is, and we've got this great reputation following our shows. Once we've got that, which I feel we've really sort of established last year, we've definitely sort of got that going, but I really want to build on that more before we go adding any more shows, because again, I fund this pretty much from ticket sales, the trader pitches and things like that, but a lot of it does come out of my own pocket, especially until lately, the Bristol show almost covered itself, but generally speaking, is mainly if I was to start another show, we have, it's a big undertaking and it's quite a big risk, so it's definitely worth just waiting another year or so, and then I expect you'll see more great ant exhibitions and accompanying events popping up all over the place. We are looking. This is the last little information that I will divulge because I probably shouldn't divulge. Good evening, House of Ants. I didn't know you were here, but good evening. Thanks for popping in. I don't know if you've been here ages. If you have, brilliant. If you haven't, that kind of sucks because we're nearly at the end of the stream. You can come to my little town and see the museums. Yeah, I love seeing the museums over where you are, Frugal. You know that. When we came over there last time, we spent at least a day or so walking around the museums. Just wondering if I have any tips for. I'll go divulge that information in a second. Tips for breeding ants. It's really difficult, and depending on the ant species, somewhat impossible. Some ants are obviously easier, some are harder. It depends on your space, your setup, your species, so many different factors. Ants Dorset, all I can say is send me a good long message of what you're trying to do with what, and I'll see if I can if I would change anything or suggest anything, and we'll come up with a bit of a plan. I've done it a bit myself, but it's so time consuming and quite honestly difficult. It's almost, I won't say not worth it, but it wouldn't be worth me doing it because I've got so many other things going on. I just can't commit to doing something like that, but yeah, I can definitely help you with what I know about it. To the 9 people in chat and only 4 likes. Oh, thank you for that, Cat. You've got nothing but time. Yeah, fair enough. Well, don't say that because I'll have you here helping me. No, it is one thing I always lack on is time because I'm always if I'm not busy, I'm asleep at the moment pretty much, or trying to rest. I will admit I've been sat here resting a bit more lately than I would normally. But yeah, so the last little bit of information I will divulge before the end of the streams is we are planning some other events this year. They're not going to be big, great ant exhibitions. They're not going to be that sort of thing. They are very much different type of event. still ant and invert related, but they're going to be local to where I am, or a bit more local, anyways, more local than Sheffield, anyways, 300 odd miles away. Um, but yeah, so there are going to be more events added to our events page. And obviously, we're booked into multiple events around the country and booking more and more as we speak, pretty much. So keep your eyes on the news and events page on the website as well, because we will be adding more. Obviously, we'll do posts, and knowing me, I won't be able to keep my mouth shut the minute I've actually made things official. But yeah, there is looks to doing a few more interesting events, and I will say they'd be worth traveling down for. Something very different. But that's all I can say, really. I can't really divulge any more information because there's a lot of work that's going to go into these events. They're actually going to make my Great Ant exhibition an easy event in comparison to run, because it's sort of thing that I don't think it's ever been done before. I don't think so, anyways. Never been done before. I've seen it before. It's a concept to me and a whole new concept to the venue. So you know what it is. It sounds like you should get a camper. It sounds like I should get a camper van sorted out, to be honest. That would be spectacular on the drive up to Sheffield. I'd be like, right, driver, I'm going for a nap. Are you allowed to do that in campers? Or does everyone have to be strapped in still? I don't actually know the rules in camper vans, like, because I know in the films, in like American films, when you see them in like the caravan camper van sort of thing, they're quite often just sat at the table, aren't they? But are they strapped in? I just don't know. I do not know. I don't know. It's definitely worth looking into. Anyways, I am going to head off. I might actually look into a camper van at some point. Not anytime soon, because I don't even drive. It would be kind of pointless me getting a camper van. We're more likely to get a couple of vans for the events before we get a camper van. As long as you can have a seatbelt on. There you go. Thank you. Clarifying that one for me. Interesting. So seatbelts everywhere. Extra seatbelts everywhere. And then you're fine. Pick you up on the way to. In fact, I need to talk to you, Kat, because we got to sort out all the logistics. That's the word. But yes, message me. Anyone needs me, message me. You know where I am, and I will get back to you as and when I can. But yeah, that is all for tonight. Thank you all for joining. It's been spectacular. We've had a nice little crowd in tonight, and you've all been absolutely amazing in the chat, as always. So I do appreciate you coming in and just being the awesome people you are. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. But I'm going to love you and leave you. If you need me, you know where I am. Massive thank you to our sponsors, Answer Us and Valhalla Martial Arts. Massive thank you to Patreon supporters. Massive thank you to just about everyone that supported me throughout the time. And a massive thank you to our staff as well, of course. But that's all from me. So as always, I'll see you again soon, Ant fans. Good night.